Welcome to Ballers and Briefs, everybody, for the 11-11 edition for Week 10. First, wanted to just really quick start off the show with a little bit of love to everybody out there. Happy Veterans Day to all our veterans that watch the show. Our very own Marcus Aurelius, Drew that comes in, Brad, your brother.
Yes, my brother was in the army. Shout out to Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, and happy Diwali to all of our Hindu people watching. My wife is Hindu, so I had to get the plug in. So, happy Diwali, everybody, and happy Veterans Day. So, with that being said, let's get talking about Week 10. So you want to kick us off with your stardoms of the week, Brad, or you want to plug them in when we get to the games? What do you think?
I can go ahead and just bring the list off now. Just go ahead and get them out of the way, and then we can go ahead and start kind of jumping through each of the games here. And kind of emphasizing the most impactful ones. But yeah, I can go ahead and start off the Kill Athletics, Veterans Day Kill Athletics. Quick note also, my grandfather was in the military as well. And actually, I had a cousin, a great cousin, of course, along the way, who was actually one of the first African-American Navy SEALs.
That's
so
cool.
Definitely,
cool.
Military's gone through the family over the years.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
But, just a little quick side note. Just wanted to give that little shout out there. But I got my 3 this week. Listen, folks, I know the last couple of weeks haven't been as on fire as at least I've been able to hit previously, but I think I've gotten back reading the tea leaves a little bit better this week, and I got a couple out there that I think you should go ahead and add into your lineups for this week. My first one, I'm going to go with the quarterback Baker Mayfield versus Tennessee this week. Baker's actually a little bit similar to Jared Goff in that you'll be surprised on the numbers that he puts up actually from a fantasy perspective each week. He's actually had double-digit fantasy games in I believe it was 4 of the games this year so far. Has thrown double-digit touchdowns in I believe 4 games as well. The last 2 games he's also had a pretty solid game as well, as far as for the fantasy points, double digits in a touchdown there. I like that matchup against Tennessee's defense with his receiving core. I think he's just really finding his way with this offense now. I think he's starting to feel really comfortable. And so I like that as from a quarterback, especially in a week where you definitely have some buys of some strong tiered players. And so if you're going to need someone that is going to get you through a week, this is going to be a good matchup for you.
43%. He's available in 43% of all ESPN leagues. So, I mean, and he's exactly the 16th ranked quarterback in the league right now. So, I mean, it's middle of the road. That'll get you through as a bye quarterback. And I don't see him totally shitting the bed, even though the game's kind of could be low scoring. But I mean, he could. I don't think it's Baker losing them ball games, if that makes any sense. So I don't dislike that at all. I like Baker. I know, Phil, you're not a big Baker Mayfield fan because he doesn't light up the board on DFS, but I think for a season long purpose, for a streamer or a plug and play, if you need somebody, I don't think he's dead in the water. He's not dead in the water for sure. I like that.
My next pick, I'm going to go to the running back class. Unfortunately, it's going to be against Cody's but I'm going to go Joe Mixon versus the Houston defense this week. Again, kind of a sneakier little bit as far as for the production. Definitely the last couple of weeks. What is triggered for me was the last couple of weeks I've seen the increase in the catches. I believe his last game he had 6 targets, but I believe he caught 5 of them, leading to and I believe he also had a touchdown, but not I believe it's a rushing one. And I've seen that production in all of the games. He's had at least 15 plus touches. So the production is going to be there. It continues to be there. But again, what's really flashing for me was that last week where they really starting to put him into the passing game. And I always like to always recommend to anyone running back with a pass catching element, because that's those extra juice points that really is going to separate you in your week long fantasies.
I like that a lot too. I mean, that we'll get to that game. That's a high scoring game. So I think that I'm sure, Phil, you've got thoughts on that game for sure, right? Like
Absolutely.
Houston and Cincinnati. I like the Joe Mixon play. I mean, I saw it firsthand that Rachaad White eat our ass up last week. So I think that Joe Mixon is definitely capable, and with the lack of what could be weapon wise for Joe Burrow tomorrow, Joe Mixon's got to be there. I think that's if you have Joe Mixon and he's on your bench tomorrow, that's your own fault. One of those things that you made a bad mistake. So I like that a lot.
And then for my last play, I'm gonna give a little love to Phil's team, Phil's boys, those Saints tomorrow. I'm gonna go with Chris Olave.
Okay.
The Vikings defense. I see a lot of it just with the chemistry and the fact that the target share. I think I've seen 4 different games where he's had 10 plus target shares. I mean, you just really don't see that across the board each week, or just looking at a lot of the targets for even your top share receivers may not even get that many each week consistently. So you could definitely tell that he's established a real rapport with Derek Carr moving forward. I believe the last 2 weeks, he's also had a touchdown reception. I really like this matchup against the Vikings. Just the fact that Dobbs has only been on the team for a week. So that lends to the chances that there's a bigger opportunity for additional possessions on the offensive side for the Saints. Seeing how also we received news that Michael Thomas has been in an issue off the field. That may mean that they will probably also go away from him a little bit as well in the game. Again, leading to more target shares to Chris Olave. So just again, given those different variables, that's what I think will lead again to a really solid week for Chris Olave. And he's always again have really good target shares and really good production with double-digit fantasy points. I think this could be another one of them.
I mean, even Michael Thomas was there last week, and Michael Thomas was non-existent. So I don't know with this whole news about him being there. I definitely see Chris Olave as a high-end wide receiver too, for sure tomorrow. I mean, I don't think he's if you have him, you have somebody else that's probably your top tier wide receiver 1. But he has high potential wide receiver 2's flex. He's flex appeal for sure, but for wide receiver 2, he's got it. I think you plug and play him tomorrow with what we've seen, that Minnesota defense being susceptible to those working man routes that he likes to run. So.
Agreed. And I think also that for your setup for a daily fantasy, I believe that Chris Olave play could also be a really good pick. I'm not sure how much he's going for tomorrow, but again, I just really like that matchup versus the Vikings defense tomorrow. So I just think that could be a really solid play.
Cool. With that being said, Phil, you want to jump straight into the action, and you want to start at Cleveland and the old Cleveland Browns, the new Cleveland Browns, and the old Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland at Ravens. I don't have any fantasy DFS purposes in this game. Maybe either one of their defense is about it from daily fantasy purposes. Total over under is 38. I think, did they already play each other this year?
Yes,
I think they did. It was low scoring, right?
Mark Andrews, and this is I was looking at this game for my own purpose for our 10-man league, and then for Brad, he has Mark Andrews in our 12-man league. I do know that Mark Andrews ate the Browns defense up last time they played. He was 5 for 5 for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he had 25 fantasy points. I think that if you're getting into the weeds tomorrow, I think that you got to get into the weeds with the Mark Andrews is the only one I'm looking at like really strongly in this game. If I'm having to play somebody in DFS, I mean, of course you have Mark Andrews, Lamar. You've got to play them. I think if you have Jerome Ford, I think you probably have to play him tomorrow too, just because of we see this as a low scoring running the ball tight end type game. The over and under is 38 points. It's just not it's a divisional rivalry, right? We've seen these go high scoring and then just plain dogfights, and nobody wants to watch them but people that are actually AFC North fans, right? But this is like the first year that right now, as it stands, that all four teams in the AFC North are in the playoffs, right? Like if it stopped today, if the season stopped today, all four teams would be in the playoffs. You'd have the 3 wild card teams and the division winner, because they all have above 500 win records right now. So it's weird. It's not the most glamorous game. I do like you said, I'm not going to be afraid of Baltimore's offense, even though their offense is good. I still think that Cleveland's defense for season long, you have to run them just for the fact of, even though that they've been crushed before, I don't, even against them in week 4, they still only allowed 28 points and had 3 sacks and a fumble recovery against them. So you can't count them out with Myles Garrett and on their team. Like you just can't do it. I don't think so. So
any love for Gus Edwards tomorrow?
Is he going to burn this one more fucking week? I don't know.
Seems like it's going to be along that path a little bit. I hope not, as a Lamar Jackson owner. But I didn't know if you guys were going to try to run them out tomorrow.
I'm not going for anybody from this game. Maybe a defense.
Okay.
Depending on how much they are. I didn't even look yet. But
yeah.
38-point games don't get me excited.
I mean, Gus Edwards.
Division rival. They usually play each other tough.
Pretty tough.
I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Go Tucker for a kicker. These are divisional games, usually have a lot of field goals because they can't finish the drives off. So from that perspective, that's all I got.
And the only, I mean, there's really
not more winning close also.
It's a 4.5 points? No, hold up. 6.5 points. 6.5 points, right?
6.5.
Baltimore 6.
I mean, I called it last week, man. Baltimore's defense is something serious, so
yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and follow Baltimore into this one.
I'm not getting burned. I'm not getting burned twice at the stake. Anytime I can see, but you got to think though, like the thing that we didn't see in week 4 when they played, there was no Deshaun Watson. I don't know how much of a factor that changes things, being the fact that they run out PJ Walker against the Ravens last time. I hate to give Deshaun Watson any credit whatsoever, but I feel like obviously we know they're a better team with him at quarterback, but I just don't know. I don't see that them. I feel like he makes it a better game, but does he cover them 6 points? I don't think so. I don't think he's worth maybe 3. So I still think that I like, which the 3 to me is 10 points versus 6.5 or 7, right? So I think that you got to go Baltimore here. I personally, and it's in Baltimore. This isn't the Baker Mayfield's Browns, who decided to just beat up on everybody in that division for some weird reason.
All right, next game, your Houston at Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, so
lead us out with injuries. Jamar Chase is questionable. This
is a mess. This game is a mess, injury wise. So for the Texans tomorrow, no Dame Pierce, no Andrew Beck, the fullback who blocks for all of the runs and all of those tight end type dump to the flat off catches that he's been getting, which was weird. No Nico Collins, no Brevin Jordan, no Henry Toho, which is one of our linebackers, our middle linebacker, no Jimmy Ward, our safety, and no Kaimi Fairburn tomorrow, the kicker. So you have questionable Robert Woods for the Texans. And then on the Bengals side, they are for sure without T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase is questionable with a back injury. Now, with that being said, I have been checking the Jamar Chase saga all day because obviously I have him in my 12-man league. He's questionable. It's that on the other night when they had the game and he landed on his back really hard. That's the injury. So it's going to be something you're going to have to watch. He's going to be in until he's out. Really, that's what they're saying. So, like, he's going to be in until they decide he's not playing. So it doesn't really, I guess, just watch it. Watch for us. Go out and check the injury report 90 minutes before kickoff and decide if you're going to play. I mean, it could be one of those things. It's one hit and he's out and then you're screwed. But I think if he starts, you have to start him. You can't worry about it. The back injury. I mean, I'm sure that they make stuff for that, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, they make good shots for that, and then they're just rub some stuff on it and pull the old Diamond Dallas Page WCW rib tape and just go on about your business, you know. So I think that's where you got to go. I think you got to go Jamar Chase, and then pivoting off of them, your pivots are
Boyd, Trent
I like
Nolan.
Tyler Boyd tomorrow. He's actually, again, one of those sneakier plays. He's had 6+ targets in the last 5 games, and he's also had a touchdown in 2 of the last 3 games. I'm actually going to roll him out as a flex play in my 12-man league, as I believe I have some players out. So,
I mean, Jamar Chase did practice. He did practice on yesterday. So, like I said, he's in until he's out.
Him and Burrow, and with Chase kind of being out there, he might see a little bit more target share, and just the way that the over under on this game is good, right, Phil?
Yeah, this is 47 over. Yeah, second highest over under. So even with those injuries, I think it's actually clearer for us who's going to be getting the ball. I think you're spot on with Tyler Boyd, and then on the other side you got Tank Dell and Noah Brown, who ate last week with Nico Collins in, and with Nico Collins out now, it's just going to be clear that they're getting the ball. Devin Singletary didn't do shit following up for Dame Pierce being out, so don't think he does shit again. Plus, you know, since he's a team to pass against, not run against, since he where's it at? I can give you. Yeah, they allow 22 more yards on average than other teams through the air.
We know that you can't run against them. The Bills tried that shit and it didn't work. So
you got to pass to them, and Stroud likes to air it out. So you got some love there.
And on the Texans side, if Robert Woods plays tomorrow, I mean, if he doesn't play tomorrow, people to look at beyond the Noah Browns and the Tank Dells, which is going to probably be, they're going to be higher owned, I would think.
Tank Dell is coming at third highest owned, but like Noah Brown's down on the list. You could definitely get some love to him, and then Dalton Schultz is not very high owned either, so you know, get some exposure to him.
And in your deeper, if you're trying to chase this game in 150 max, make sure you get to exposure to John Mechie III and Xavier Hutchinson. They're Xavier Hutchinson. He is a big body receiver. He is like that Nico Collins type body style, and John Mechie is John Mechie. I mean, if you know who John Mechie was from his time in Alabama, I think he has the potential to be he's an Alabama type receiver. I mean, he's just one of those really good receivers. He just had that that cancer last year that he's coming back from, and he just really hasn't found his stride yet. But on Cincinnati's side, Trenton Irwin, and I can't think of how to say his name. Ioshivas. Yeah, Andre
Iosivas.
Yes.
Out of Princeton.
Yes. And he scored touchdowns. That kid has scored touchdowns. Even
big body receiver.
When T. Higgins was out with the rib injury a couple weeks ago, Ioshivas came in as like the third receiver or fourth receiver and caught touchdowns.
I would consider players like that in like deep Millie Maker type contests. Not in anything with like 5,000 or less people in it, just because of their snap count share.
But that's what I'm saying. If Jamar Chase isn't playing tomorrow, you have to. If you're chasing this game, if there's no Jamar Chase, if for some reason he's out, if they decide to rule him out, he's there. He's automatically the third wide receiver. Tyler Boyd is.
Joe Mixon will probably eat his fucking brains out if Jamar Chase is out as well.
What's his owner? I'm looking at it, trying to look for his owner.
I mean, Houston's not really a team you necessarily want to run against. You want to pass against them, but it's Mixon. He's a beast. So
he's the highest owned running back tomorrow. So everybody's seeing what Brad's seeing.
Yeah.
So. I mean,
where's Houston at? I mean, a reason to get off of him, like for trying to get different, is Houston is solid against the run. They allow 16 fewer yards on average to opposing running backs. I mean, that's yardage though. It's not fantasy points or touchdowns. That's just yardage. So if they don't have Higgins to throw to or Jamar Chase, there's going to be a lot more receptions to go around, and that means a running back is probably going to get double his dosage on passes, and that puts him in there.
People are seeing I'm looking at it right now, as people are looking at Irv Smith, the tight end for the Bengals, more than they are Dalton Schultz for the Texans.
Didn't Irv Smith have a touchdown last week?
Last week against the Bills.
That scares me about Irv Smith, though, is that
he kind of goes away, though.
Tanner Hudson got more, receptions than him.
And Drew Sample was out there too, and that's what's crazy. They just kind of rotate three, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not advocating for Irv Smith. I'm just saying we have a clear-cut number one tight end in Houston, and there's three of them that rotate through in Cincinnati, and people are rostering him higher. Obviously, he's $2,200 on DraftKings less than Dalton Schultz, when Dalton Schultz is like $4,900 and Irv Smith is only $2,700. But I mean, it's not a great gulf between the two. It's only about 0.5%, but that 0.5% makes a difference in when there's 150,000 people in the
correct
in the contest. So
the spread on this game is 6.5. Cincinnati favored by 6.5.
CJ Stroud's less than 5% owned. He's setting you up for success.
Yeah, you could definitely run him back again and have some success. Actually,
you said what was
Cincinnati's favored by 6.5. I actually might like Houston in this game to cover that, especially.
I like Houston to cover. I think Cincy wins, but I don't know if they win
by 6.5, especially if Jamar Chase doesn't play.
Yeah,
we did bring back Derek Stingley, so that's a thought. I mean, we'll have Sting out there against Jamar Chase, and they know each other like the back of their hand because they played with one another at LSU. So it's one of those tomato type things. So we could be
reason to get on Tyler Boyd.
Get away. Yes, that's exactly where I was going was yeah. So
all right. Next game, San Francisco at
Texans. I'm taking Texans tomorrow. Shit,
I forgot you didn't. All right, San Francisco at Jacksonville. Another game that I have on my list of games to focus.
I like
This
that.
might be Cody's week to play Trevor Lawrence.
I'm running him out.
Yeah.
I am running him tomorrow.
I kind of like this game for lots of reasons. One of them is Brock Purdy is not very high owned, probably because he hasn't done the greatest since like the first 3 weeks. But at playing against the Jags, which are easily exposable, and Brock Purdy has shown what he can do. You got CMC. I don't know any of the other injuries. I don't know if is Samuel still out.
He's gonna play.
He's back.
All right.
He's gonna go in.
I think Brad. I'm sure Brad's got all the insights on this game.
Yeah, well, I've been
listens to the local radio.
Yeah, definitely. And just from my perspective, going into the game, I see that there could be some interceptions to be had for, I think, both sides. Just given the fact that the defenses are sort of sneaky in their abilities and disguise defensive coverages. You will have a new element with Chase Young coming in. So that definitely changes a little bit of how you're going to scheme up against them. We were able to get a guard back, Walker Little, to be able to potentially help in the ground game. I really like ETN tomorrow, as he kind of continues that sort of not better than C-Mac, but the next best thing. And as far as for his production each week. And so I really like that matchup. And I really like, of course, Christian Kirk, just given the fact that I think they might take Ridley away tomorrow, which opens up the coverage in the game to be more in line with more of a Kirk style game where you have a little bit over the middle of the field intermediate routes.
What was Samuel's injury?
Shoulder.
I think he's right. Shoulder.
My man is sub 5% owned. Ayuk is sub 10% owned. And Jacksonville, the way they hit Jacksonville is through the air. They're allowing 33 fewer yards on average against the run, but they're allowing 30 more yards on average against the pass. So you want to definitely hit Jags through the air, which means Kittle, Samuel, Ayuk. Kittle is kind of high owned, but Samuel sub 5% and Ayuk sub 10% are good numbers, especially for this game where it could be a potential shootout, which is essentially what you want it to be. And then and the same for San Francisco. They're pretty stout against the run, but the way to hit them is through the air. So it's just a matter of if Trevor Lawrence can do that with this type of pass rush.
So no Zay Jones, obviously, Brad. I'm sure you're aware of that, right? No Zay Jones tomorrow. He's out. And on the Niners side, Drake Jackson is out. So that sets up the Chase Young show tomorrow for sure. No Drake Jackson. You're gonna put Chase Young. You traded for him. You better put him on the line and just say, hey, go find the quarterback and tackle him, right? Trent Williams is still questionable with his ankle injury, but he could play tomorrow, which is that's probably the most other important injury that's important so I saw that Tyson Campbell and Andre Sisco both are still questionable with hamstrings for you guys tomorrow. So that's
what leads to my feeling about Deebo Samuel tomorrow. And even if they do start, I just see Deebo having more of a Deebo-esque style game, seeing it from a running and a pass catching, given the fact that because of the fact that
we got you in just a second, George. Hang out with us.
The rush defense for the 49ers have been for the Jaguars has been pretty good, but I think that Kyle Shanahan has a way of scheming up that run game. So be mindful that the play action game may be there. Again, as Phil said, Kittle tomorrow definitely as well, because Jaguars has always had a history of just being susceptible to that tight end. So in this matchup, I like that as well. But don't be afraid to get a little different tomorrow and go that Jaguars defense too, just for the fact that again, I think that with Purdy, the cracks are starting to come open a little bit. He's starting to force a little bit. And I think that's going to be the same way in a big style game like this. Both teams want to win. And so I think there might be a couple of forced ones out there. But if you have a Williams out there for the tackle and he's able to shut down Allen, that's going to completely change the whole game. If Josh Allen can't get there tomorrow, the defensive end for the Jaguars, it's going to be a long night. It's as simple as that. And so if Williams plays and you know his ability to just completely take out any defensive end on his side, it's going to be a long night.
So just to jump to George's question really quick. George, he says, hey, guys, need 2 wide receivers and a flex out of these players. Tank Dell, Deontay Johnson, Chris Olave, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Keaton Mitchell, and Fournette if he plays. Okay, so Keaton Mitchell and Fournette are the biggest question marks that I see on that list. Because Keaton Mitchell...
Definitely starting Tank Dell, definitely starting Olave, and then I would flex Deontay.
I think that's right. And your Jackson Smith and Jigba
is the running back
for the Ravens, the guy that just come off injured reserve. But he got a touchdown last week, but I'm not. He's not number one until Gus Edwards goes away. That's just the thing. And we talk about here that in this, and this is a non-PPR format. And should I trade Olave for Rachaad White or A-Chain? I mean, if in that case, if your A-Chain is coming off of the injury and he's not healthy, I mean, Olave's not. Has he gotten the end zone but once, right? This year, Phil? I think he's gotten that one touchdown. Twice, maybe?
Twice.
I don't know how many touchdowns he has, but non-PPR is definitely not my specialty. I would definitely keep Olave just because his upside is higher than both of them.
In non-PPR, you need touchdowns. So what I'm saying is if you have 2 Olave for Rachaad White or A-Chain. I mean, you have Tank Dell, Deontay, and Olave is technically a number 1, number 2. So Dell is a 2 roughly, and Deontay is in a number 1 battle with.
If anything, I see the trade for Rachaad White, but that's about it.
I mean, A-Chain is he's golfed by Mostert until Mostert is not the number 1.
Still behind Mostert, and that's what's tough. I would never trade a number 1 for a number 2.
PPRs, I try to look more towards who's going to score a touchdown. Even though A-Chain's been hurt, he's found a way to get into the end zone when he's played. If you're looking for it, but to me, that's almost a gamble a little bit.
Yes, please. Yes, do. Give us your starters. If those are on your bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because
I mean,
in non-PPR, you want your flex to always be a running back.
I mean, Rachaad White is the number 1, and he is the number 1 in there in Tampa. There's nobody cutting into his carries. I've seen Chase Edmonds on the field maybe like once or twice, and they were down at the 1-yard line on the opposite end of the field, and they were just trying to get him out of the end zone so they didn't get Rachaad White hurt. The only reason I've seen him, and I saw his ass eat the Texans' ass up last week, and I've seen him eat up a couple other teams. So,
he post that though. Let's hit some Jaguars players. Any Jaguars injuries to note?
Just Zay Jones. That's the only one. And then the offensive lineman you guys just traded for, Ezra Cleveland.
So Ridley had a 31% target share last week. Evan Ingram had a 31% target share last week. And Christian Kirk had a 15% target share last week. On the season, all 3 of them are about 22%. So I think you could run out any one of those 3 guys or numerous of them with numerous of San Francisco's guys into like this giant game stack and just plug in a couple spots from somewhere else and have a nice game stack here on this game. I'm 8-1.
Shit. I wouldn't trade. You don't need Rachaad White or A-Chain because Kenneth and CMC both. I think the Falcons. I mean,
how the fuck did you end up with CMC and Cup in a 12-man PPR?
Those are both like, unless you traded for them.
That's crazy.
I mean, Kenny W has already had his bye. CMC's already had his bye. Cup, Waddle, and Joku. I mean, you have this Tua
To be honest,
stack.
I like Olave more than Waddle.
I think I like that what he's got there because he has the stack with Tua in a non PPR. You need touchdowns because you're going to get double banged if one of them gets a touchdown, the other one gets a touchdown, right? So that's good for a standard scoring.
I would trade Cup for Tyreek Hill, and then bench Waddle for Olave.
Bench just add Fields and Quentin Johnson from the first questions. Man, I like your Tank Dell, Deontay, Olave on the bench, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, if you wanted to spin off like Deontay for maybe a running back, I think that you're good because Waddle has had his bye. They're on their bye right now. I guess you need him.
I mean, like I said, I don't do non-PPR, but it's always been my understanding that to thrive in non-PPR, you should have a running back as your flex, always.
Yes.
Because you want touchdowns in non-PPR, and running backs are easier to predict who's going to get those touchdowns. So I think you got an excess of wide receivers. You might want to trade Olave for Rashad White in this situation.
If you could, maybe, yeah. I think I like that too. Olave could for Rashad White. I mean, that's a 1-for-1 trade. If someone will shit you that.
With that said, I like Olave more than Waddle, but because Waddle is a stack with your QB, I guess I'd keep him over Olave unless somebody's willing to trade you Tyreek Hill for Cooper Kupp, which they might not be willing to do.
Yeah, I like the Olave for Rashad White with everybody else that you have stacked there. Give us a like, share, and subscribe, bro. Thank you very much. And
all right,
keep the questions coming.
Spread on the Jacksonville 49ers game. 49ers are only favored by 3. You're very welcome, George. Good luck, my dude.
And let us know how it goes. Let us know how it goes. We want to know.
-3 49ers. I am rocking with that.
2.5 or 3.5 is what I see.
Yeah, I got it at 3 with my guys. So I like 49ers -3.
I'm gonna go Jags, of course. Do well till I die. I'm going Jags.
My thought here is because we kind of missed it. So this is my thoughts tomorrow. Is I know you talked about Ingram. I'm going Ingram here as my flex if Jamar Chase does not play. Okay. And on my bench, I've got Ingram, Jahan Dotson, or Noah Brown. And I am pairing my Trevor Lawrence with ETN and Ingram tomorrow as my flex because I'm running Dalton Schultz as my tight end. So that's what I'm doing. I didn't want to cover up Dalton Schultz with Noah Brown when I already have Tank Dell too. So I didn't want to run 3 pass catchers, because I don't see lightning striking again, right? Like three pass catchers from the Texans. I don't see it just happening again. But I like Ingram tomorrow. I did see a lot of people are on the Kirk train because they feel like he's going to pull the Jordan Addison type stuff because everybody's going to go to Ridley. But I could see either one of them attacking that defense tomorrow. So, but with that being said, at 3.5, I don't like the 49ers. At 3 points, I do like the 49ers, if that makes sense. You get them at 3, okay. You get them at 3.5, I'm going Jags. It just depends on what you take. I think this game is a whole lot closer than what a lot of people think. And this is in Jacksonville, right? 49ers got to travel all the way across the country. So I could definitely see this being a really good game tomorrow. And Doug Peterson knows how to play with the Shanahan type offense. So I'm really itching to say that at 3.5, I think the Jags win this ball game because I think they're better. I think they're better than the Browns that beat the 49ers. Trevor Lawrence for the win tomorrow. I need it. Need to run him up 6 in a row, baby.
Let's make it 6.
All right, your
Next
Saints
game.
and the Vikings, Filbert.
Yes, sir. Here, New Orleans Saints at Minnesota. I have no fantasy interest in this game. I don't know necessarily why I don't, because it could be sneaky. It is have a low over under of 41, but
Super streamer tomorrow, Josh Dobbs.
I just see Addison getting shut down by Lattimore, and
KJ Osborne is questionable. TJ Hawkinson is questionable. Osborne questionable with a concussion, so I have not. This is actually
on a side note, Hawkinson had 37% targets last week. That's fucking wild. My guess is Osborne went out injured in that game, and that's probably why. But that's 40% essentially to him.
It's so weird that Osborne is concussion protocol when he hasn't cleared. He's still questionable. So I literally thought that means like concussion protocol means you either did or you didn't. Why they're waiting till 11 o'clock tomorrow before kickoff to decide if he's going to play or not. So for that, I'm off of KJ Osborne no matter what happens. I don't give a shit if he plays or not. He's concussed. One tap to the head and NFL's yanking his ass out the game.
I think there's a boost to somebody in this game, though.
Brandon Powell.
Who is he injured?
Brandon Powell
he had a bunch. Didn't he have the game-winning catch?
He's not
Brandon Powell did?
Yes.
He's not the boost I'm thinking of, right? Rashid Shaheed is the boost I'm thinking of.
Oh, yes.
Because of Mike Thomas getting arrested. Who knows if he's going to play or not.
From right now, from what I've seen, that he's not playing because he posted bond or whatever. And it's the same in the same city that Chris Olave was arrested in for reckless driving. So, yeah. So, I don't think where I'm looking at this game tomorrow, and you guys are going to call me crazy, but I'm still looking at the Taysom Hill factor, dude. Until it's proven otherwise, I just feel like it's gonna happen. I mean, he's 2.82% owned, and I don't give a shit what the Vikings have done against.
Well, this is why I don't really like this game from a fantasy point, because Saints are spread the fucking ball out. There's so many people to score. Kamara, Taysom Hill, Raheem Shaheed, Chris Olave, Juwan Johnson got a touchdown. Like, we're everywhere out here, and then Minnesota's got their injuries. I think Addison gets shut down by Lattimore, and then, who else are you going to go to there? You're just going to fucking throw 40% to Hawkinson again? If they are, I guess you could like Hawkinson from a fantasy point, but he's also questionable, so...
Yeah, with
I don't really know much about these other guys, Tristan Jackson, N'Keal Harry, and Brandon Powell, so... I don't feel comfortable, putting them in any of my lineups. But I guess if you're throwing darts at the Millie Maker, you could get some love in this game from, somebody like Raheem Shaheed or Brandon Powell.
This Tristan Jackson kid, I heard something about him earlier in the week. So let me see.
He had the same amount of targets as Brandon Powell last week.
I mean...
And he's cheaper.
The hard thing with the Vikings too is that we're looking at production based mostly off of what Kirk Cousins did and the targets that he was looking at. Whereas now it's very difficult to know where Dobbs is going to go, because I didn't think he was going to go to Brandon Powell for the game winning touchdown. So it's just, again, becomes very difficult from that perspective to know how it's going to all shake out. But you kind of think, you're going to go to your stars, your one and your two. But again, he went to Brandon Powell. So it's kind of hard to really say exactly. I have to run out Jordan Addison at this stage. Have to run out until he kind of, busts out. But I think I do agree that it's going to be a problem with him against Lattimore tomorrow.
Oh, and no, you got to think about this. There is no Cam Akers. So this is Alexander Madison show tomorrow. No Cam Akers cutting in on him, so Cam Akers is on IR. So
I guess you could like Madison with that because
and
Dobbs is that's why, Hockenson had 40%, dudes, because it's Dobbs throwing the ball and he's scared to throw it downfield or anything like that. And you got these under routes from a tight end. He's gonna have those under routes from Madison, and without Akers there to chew into that, I actually might now like Madison a little bit more for volume purposes on DraftKings. Do not like him on FanDuel for what that's worth.
Your Alvin Kamara is only 7% owned tomorrow. I mean, I know that
it's because of Hill.
Yeah, it's because of Hill.
The numbers are there though. The fantasy numbers are there. I thought about even rolling him out potentially for a start.
They're probably good in season long, but they're not good in Millie Maker format.
For $8,300, that's not good. I don't think. I mean,
gotta get you 33 points
when you can get Joe Mixon for 6,200.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Price per dollar, baby. Think about it.
Yes.
All right, what's the spread on this game? I got it at New Orleans favored by 2.5. I'm definitely going with the Saints on this one.
Of course, Homer.
It's a backup quarterback.
I like the Saints as well in this matchup.
I'm not even gonna lie. I think I like another thing from this game, fantasy DFS wise, and that's Saints defense.
Against Dobbs?
Yes.
He
ain't ready for that Who Dat Nation, baby. He ain't ready for that.
Cam Jordan.
Yeah, boy.
I like the Saints tomorrow. I mean, what I'm seeing is, what did you say it was at, Phil?
What's their ownership? I have it at 2.5. Let me see the ownership.
It's at 3. ESPN says it, or which they run through Caesars has it 3 points.
And the Saints defense is low owned.
America, according to ESPN, is split directly down the middle, 50-50. So, man, 40.5. It says 40.5 according to Caesars, but or ESPN bet, I guess now, not Caesars. I used to use Caesars.
Yeah, I see that 41. I don't know nothing about the over in this. Probably under.
I think the Saints win a smooth 3 tomorrow. I mean, I just feel like that. But I have been wrong.
It's good, Dylan.
What's up, Dylan? What's up, man? Thanks for checking back in with us, bro.
Yeah, we're not the sports betting gurus. We're just giving a little input on what we like based on the fantasy look.
I like the Saints tomorrow, though. I mean, if you can get them at 2.5 for sure, 100%.
That's what I got them at. Next game, Green Bay at Pittsburgh. I got no fantasy value for this for DFS. Y'all do. I'll let y'all take over.
News fest tomorrow.
I don't have anything here.
I mean, I don't
maybe
like
Deontay Johnson, maybe on the streamer pick.
Yeah, season long. I play Deontay Johnson probably, but depending on who you have. But DFS,
again, as far as for sort of a running back, maybe that doesn't always get, but he's Warren for the running back for Pittsburgh, second running back. Gets a lot of catches out of backfield. I can see that.
I know that we don't really ever talk a lot about it. I mean, we do most of our fantasy plan. I know Brad and I both do on ESPN. I am in a Yahoo fantasy league for work, and I'm not doing so hot in there. It's just I don't know. It plays a whole lot different than what I'm used to. But my thoughts on that is where I'm going with this is I do like Jaylen Warren for that purpose tomorrow. For some reason, it seems to play different. It kind of because it's like half PPR and it's just a weird half PPR. I think Jaylen Warren for the fact that the Green Bay Packers just don't work real well against the speed backs. They kind of do against the bashing backs like the Najee Harris. And I think Kenny Pickett's always looking for a reason to get the ball out on the perimeter because he's kind of moving a little bit. So I'm not shitting full-fledged on Jaylen Warren tomorrow. I do like Jaylen Warren out of this game if I've got to go somewhere besides my man George Pickens, which is really that's just if you got to get him in the game. But, I mean, because I think Jair Alexander, who is doubtful tomorrow, who with a shoulder injury, Phil's number one corner in the league, which ain't right, he is doubtful tomorrow. So I feel like that Kenny Pickett, your chance to pass on a team is going to be tomorrow. and it's going to be Deontay or George Pickens.
Spread is Steelers -3. I'm gonna go with Steelers on this one.
In Pittsburgh, shit.
Steelers for me.
3.5. 3.5 is what I see on ESPN. I like the Steelers also going away.
All right, I see Dylan with a question, which makes me ask a question. Cody, is Arizona's quarterback playing tomorrow? What's his name?
Kyler Murray is playing.
Yes, he is.
Right, if Kyler Murray is playing, Damn, that's still tough. That's tough, man. I like Jared Cook and Hollywood Brown tomorrow. I don't like Ford against Baltimore. I don't like Devin Singletary versus Cincy. I don't like Flowers versus Cleveland. So those are all tough. Still tight end. Flex Njoku versus Baltimore. Noah Brown. I like Noah Brown versus Cincy. I like Ferguson versus the Giants. Moss versus New England. Shakir versus Denver. Algier versus Arizona. These are all tough, man.
Maybe Hollywood versus Atlanta, just because of that speed element.
Okay, Dylan, you missed our thoughts on the Browns and the Ravens. So I'm gonna work from the bottom to the top here. We all went Ravens going away. We think the Ravens defense. Phil caught it last week by 10. Brad and I both weren't on that train. We didn't think that shit was going to happen, and we got our ass smopped with that. So we're going all Ravens going away tomorrow. So flock to the birds. I guess that's what you say, or whatever. Ravens flock. And then some of our friends, Zeke and Puba, both are big Ravens fans too. So shout out to them. Still okay. So awful PR start. Cook or Hollywood. I like, man. Cook. I think Cook, man. I mean Hollywood with Murray, but I don't know if.
Can't you start Cook and flex Hollywood Brown? Because I don't like your flexes at the bottom. Moss, Shakir, Algier. Why don't you just flex Hollywood?
I would flex Hollywood over Zay Flowers because I feel like Cleveland's secondary is better than Baltimore's secondary.
And he ain't been doing shit. Dude's had like 2 in a row dud games.
I personally have to run Jerome Ford out.
I said they're different leagues.
Oh, okay.
Shit.
Okay, so
if you're starting one running back.
James Cook or Hollywood and the flex, right? I guess.
Start one running back, one flex.
Okay. You have to flex either Ford, Singletary, and Flowers.
I don't like Ford at all, or Flowers. So I guess at least Devin Singletary, but I don't like him neither. So
I personally like Ford and Singletary over Ford and Flowers, just for the simple fact of Singletary. Yeah, we're gonna have to run the ball some, but I can't. It's just like innocent until proven guilty kind of thing.
I'll go Flowers. Just a game for the big play element. If he can shake free, he might be gone. Just kind of like with Hollywood. Just given the options available, it just seems like Ford might have a tough time on the ground tomorrow. D Singletary, that Houston offensive line just hasn't really produced much for the running back game.
I mean, the thing about it to me is just I just don't like Zay Flowers against Greedy or not Greedy. What's his name? That's a fucking corner for Cleveland. I think he's better. He's going to put him in a box. I think he's going to have to go away, and I feel like Lamar's going to have to go away, and this is going to be we're going to see
Andrews game.
The Gus Bus and Mark Andrews again. And I mean, I'm personally having to run Ford out, and I think Ford is going to have a better day than Zay Flowers is. That's just my personal opinion. And
Cook will probably have a great game. You could definitely go Cook over Hollywood Brown. Hollywood's just going to be back with his quarterback that made him shine. So it's tough to say, but it's game one back, and we've seen games where Hollywood didn't do shit, even with Murray throwing the ball to him. So
yeah, and Murray has not played a game with Michael Wilson yet.
And
he likes the big body receivers. He does. He loved DeAndre Hopkins. And if Michael Wilson can service partial, at least even 40% of that DeAndre Hopkins type big body target, because again, he doesn't have Zach Ertz either. So he's got to go to Brown, Michael Wilson, or Trey McBride. So, man, and then full PPR, one flex, Njoku versus Brown, Noah Brown versus Cincy, Ferguson, Moss. Man, one tight end. Start one tight end, which you got to go. I mean, obviously you got
probably Algier.
I'll start one flex. So your tight end is I think you got to go probably Ferguson, because maybe. I don't know, though. Do you think that Dak's going to – are they going to get out so far out in front that they're just going to start pounding the ball with Rico Dowdle and fucking Deuce Vaughn because they're just – New York Giants are just a bunch of dog shit? It's 17.5 point difference. I don't know. That was hard. Shakir, I don't know. I just don't see it. He's just still, to me, he's third man on third wheel, like until Diggs and Gabby Davis ain't there. Moss versus New England. I think Zach Moss is thriving even with Jonathan Taylor there. I think that's a good play. Also for fun, yeah, we did do the Ravens, different leagues. I want to go Hollywood over Cook, but I never get to start Cook. Finally has a good matchup. Man, it's up to you, bro. Start Cook over Hollywood. It's close. I like Cook. Run with Ford and Flowers. Don't love it. Rock with Ferguson and Noah Brown, and rock with Algier and good matchup versus Arizona. Arthur Smith is a dumbass. Yes, you are correct. Right. I like that. That sums it up perfectly. That's perfect.
All right. Next game. Good luck with your stuff, by the way.
Let us know.
Tennessee at Buccaneers. I have no fantasy value out of this game. Neither. I know Brad like Baker season long.
I would just say that, your chalk players, as we always kind of throw that out there, you're going to run them out there. You're going to run out your Mike Evans. You're going to run out your Derrick Henry. I just
yes, sir, fam. Yes, sir.
Different outside of that. Outside of running your chart players in your season long tomorrow, I just don't see anything else there.
It's a low over under 39 points. Nothing to get excited about in this game.
I mean, D-Hop has to come out. D-Hop's going to be super chalk tomorrow. No Treylon Burks. You looking for skunk plays tomorrow? I mean, you got to look at Brad's Nick Westbrook Akine. I mean, I think that's the
Can't go wrong.
That's the only turd I can see popping tomorrow. But I feel like this. What? I could see the Buccaneers defense showing up tomorrow, or could be a big dose of King Henry, and King Henry just runs the ball down their throat, and that's just what they need to do because they think that they have such a great run defense. I don't really like anybody from this game.
Me neither, bud. No. Well, I buy it.
If you have players in season long from Tennessee like D-Hop and Henry, you've got to start them. There's just really no way around it. The Rachaad White, I think you got to start Rachaad White and like Brad said, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So unless Brad, you got real big thought. I know you liked Baker, but I mean for a
outside of just Baker, again for a solid starting for the week. If you're like me and you have Pat Mahomes out, and you're looking for a quarterback who is readily available,
which is crazy though. Baker is the 5th highest owned quarterback tomorrow.
Yeah, two touchdown passes at least. He should be able to get you tomorrow. So
Chaka says, "Got to
Chaka, yo, I love Chaka, dude."
Garrett Wilson, Olave, Ridley.
Not many people know about that movie, dude. That fucking movie is so great. Garrett Wilson, Olave, Ridley, Javante, Olave and Ridley, and then
I think Javante for sure has finally cemented himself as full number one there in Denver.
that was going to be my number 3 pick, Javante.
I mean, I know that you probably wasted a high pick on Garrett Wilson thinking that he was going to be there with Aaron Rodgers, and it hurts your soul to have to set him on the bench. But after that fumble last week, I just lost all my faith in him, and I just feel like he let his team down. I'm fading his ass from now on. I'm fading anybody on the Jets. That's just me.
Picking the Jets, you get burned a bunch of times.
And
I like Olave, Ridley, and Javante as well.
Next game, Atlanta at Arizona. I don't really have any fantasy value from this game, although I do think you could play. Yeah, you could play some Hollywood Brown and some Michael Wilson. Michael Wilson, I do like for big tournament play.
He is questionable with the shoulder, though, so pay attention to that. No,
Wilson is questionable with the shoulder.
Yes, Michael Wilson is questionable with a shoulder. DeMarcado is out tomorrow. I thought they said that James Connors was gonna come back, but he is still technically questionable. He was activated off of injured reserve.
What's the injury for Connor?
Knee. He is expected to play tomorrow, according to Ian Rappaport, though. So James Conner is expected to play, according to Ian Rappaport, and he's listed as questionable. No DeMarcado for sure. And we will get the Kyler Murray show tomorrow. So, with that being said, this changes this whole damn game. Like, it changes this whole damn game to me. The Falcons.
Does it say when Kyler Murray got hurt last year? Because it just
11 months. He has not played a game in 11 months. That's what I read.
That's reason to be off of him.
Feels too soon to me.
It's reason to be off of him.
That's what bothers me about that. And his scrambling ability.
I am fucking running out Falcons defense one more week just because of that. Okay. I am rolling with them one more week just for the simple fact that I'm matter.
I like it.
I feel like everybody's going to be riding the Kyler Murray dick. I'm either going to get burned or I'm going to look like a damn genius tomorrow.
I think you'll look like a genius. It's a good play.
Because
what's the spread on this game?
I mean, it's a 43.5.
Falcons are favored by 1.5.
It's a 43.5 over under.
Is it? Wow.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
In the lower end, but I gave it a little boost considering Murray could be out here bucking.
Yeah, it must be. But that's the first thing that comes to mind about it is that Murray seems almost to be rushed back, almost like they're trying to put him out there to get hurt again.
Yeah,
to justify the Caleb Williams pick. It feels like a little bit, but maybe that's just
I don't think Caleb Williams. I don't think
maybe Connor just because of the fact that the way the matchup could fall into play, he could get a 1 yard touchdown.
He's 11% owned tomorrow, and that's disgusting. But because he's only $5,900, that's one reason.
I'm gonna go with Atlanta on this one. On that note,
but I don't really like the matchup a lot.
I'm riding Atlanta train.
Run the chalk players and keep it moving.
Mr. Youngway, I think this is a Youngway coup game tomorrow. Coup is going to hang them on them tomorrow. And Drake London is back also, I believe. So
is that Heineke tomorrow or Ritter tomorrow?
Good question.
It is Heineke tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh shit.
Maybe if you need a tight end, I think this might be the Pitts episode. It lends to that. If they Arthur Smith finally schemes him up, but it's just been horrible for him.
I tried to grab Drake London off the waiver wire, and obviously, just like every other damn pick I get on this stupid.
Kadero Hodge had 20% target share last week, so
yeah,
Heineke liked him in case.
Hodge,
you need a little flex there somewhere in one of your leagues, a little streamer. All right, next game.
Yep.
Next game. One should have the most fantasy value because it's the highest over under. It's Detroit at the Chargers. I like it because of the high over under. Plus, I think Detroit just got gashed for the first time. They look like them old selves on defense. And if I remember correctly, Detroit just recently, could have been last season or season before, started really good, and then they fucking went straight downhill again right after that. And if that's gonna be a reoccurrence here, I like a lot of Chargers players for that purpose. I think they're high owned though. Let's see. No wide receivers on the Chargers are high owned. However, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the fourth highest owned wide receiver right now. Keenan Allen is
torn between Baker Mayfield and actually Jared Goff, but I went Jared Goff earlier.
I'm rocking the Jared Goff
stardom pick, and so I didn't want to go back to kind of reuse him. But I like Goff again here, man. He's steady Eddie, and sometimes that's what you need, man. A steady Eddie, and actually, that Chargers defense is still susceptible.
Yes,
Brandon
for sure.
Staley does questionable things. And those type of matchups lead to more points, which is why I think it's so high on the point schedule there. So I do actually like I like many of these starters. And if you're feeling a little gambly, maybe this is the Jameson Williams show.
I'll tell you this: Keenan Allen is 6% owned. I don't think I've ever seen Keenan Allen this low owned.
Make note of that right now.
So that is definitely something to keen into. And
Monty is back tomorrow. I don't care if he's splitting time. He's only 4% owned tomorrow, and he is he's cheap. He's only $100 cheaper than Gibbs. Gibbs is 7,000, and Monty's 6,900. I think Monty. I think that they've seen the fact that they can run them both out there, but I think that Monty could be what his price per dollar might be. I don't know if Dan Campbell is gonna play loyalty card. I don't know, but
also Josh Reynolds is 2% owned. 2% Josh Reynolds, sick. You're looking for a way to get off of Amon-Ra, the almost highest owned receiver on the slate. Josh Reynolds, dude's got a ceiling just as high as Amon-Ra's.
And Phil's boy Sam Laporta is only, is less than 7% on him, and he's the fifth highest.
Damn, Sam Laporta, I forgot about my dude. I've been calling him all year, dog.
So then is most of the ownership on the Chargers side for this game then?
Not even, dude. It's low. Like I said, Keenan Allen's low owned.
Okay.
Donald Parham's only 5% owned.
It's interesting that this matchup with
it's so crazy though.
Quentin Johnson's 3% owned.
Fucking Gerald Everett is 2.8985% owned.
He hasn't gotten into the end zone as much this year. I think that's why people are off him, because he hasn't gotten into the end zone much.
Highest over under on the slate, dude, and nobody's focusing it. So DFS purposes, scream stacking this game.
Okay, so there are really no injuries of note except for newly acquired wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones for the Lions is questionable with the ribs. And then so that is the only thing.
I don't even know where he's gonna come in at, dude. Like Khalif Raymond and Jameson Williams are there. Like, what the hell did they even?
He might just be a special teams player more. So.
Yeah, like they just grabbed this dude to confuse people, and it's working.
They wanted a big body. They wanted a big body to just line up out there, and that's kind of the reason why they did it. And he can return kicks. So
I like this game. I mean, there's lots of love for this game considering the highest over under. Lots of players to get to with very low ownership.
Jared Goff. I got a question today. Somebody texted me that's actually in our 12-man league, Alex, that's in our 12-man league for his standard league. He's like Jared Goff or Jared Goff or Sam Howell, and I said, man, you got to roll the Jared Goff train. And obviously, I know he's playing Jared Goff against me tomorrow in our 12-man league too. So I was like, you might as well ride the Jared Goff train. I think that Jared Goff, he just screams that defense is susceptible. I mean, if they can keep,
him and Herbert are 5% owned, dude. So, like I said, everybody in this game is low owned. It's fucking wild to me. This is how you win $1 million right here.
Herbert's the second most expensive, but I feel like Jared Goff screams pick me tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, but I don't know, man. I like this game a lot, and I feel like this game is going to be the game people are
Lions are favored by 3 in this game. So there's your Jared Goff play right there. They got,
I do like.
I did not expect that because I
like the Lions to beat the Chargers just because
the Chargers at home.
Yeah,
Chargers at home and the Lions are favored. So yeah, that's screaming Goff for sure. And I'm gonna go with Chargers on this one. I'm not gonna lie, but that's just because of what just happened to the Lions. I didn't see that happening, and then it happened, and I was like, oh, here we go. It's the Lions from every other year where they start 5-0 or 5-1, and then it's straight downhill. Next thing you know, they're 5-5, and everybody's like, what the fuck? So
I don't know, man. They got bodied obviously by the Ravens. It was a Ravens 38-6. But they come back and beat the freaking Raiders by 12 going away. And
the Raiders were dog shit. They were still under the other coach.
I mean, they have
no respect for that. The Chargers are a solid team, and they seem to be a solid team come later in the season every year. They just snap into game mode.
They have only lost to the Seahawks, and they lost the Seahawks by 6, and they lost to the Ravens by 32. But I just feel like this is Jared Goff's get right game, and this is like he goes back into LA, shows everybody in LA because he's a California kid. He's going back. Fuck y'all! I'm about to put my stamp on this shit. This is the house that I built as a Ram, and then I got traded to Detroit for fucking Matthew Stafford. Fuck all you people in LA, Chargers, Rams alike. I think this is Jared Goff's game. I'm taking the fucking Lions tomorrow.
All right, next game, New York Giants at Dallas. The only thing I like from this game is probably Dallas. They have the highest team total on the entire slate, but the game is over under 38 points. It is a division rival, which means Giants will tend to play them better than they'll play any other team.
They're not. But this is disgusting. Not with Tommy DeVito at their quarterback.
I feel like this is a Pollard game, probably because we haven't had it the last 2 times I called it. But
they're I
think they're favored by 17. Where's that? Yeah, they're favored by 17, but that screams running back. Yeah. And it also screams backups, which is why I don't really love this game from a fantasy perspective. But that you gotta love running backs when they're highly favored, because if you're winning by a lot, you're just running the ball and killing clock. But I don't know if they're gonna run with Pollard if they're up by 17. They might run with somebody else.
I'm saying
save Pollard
or Deuce Vaughn.
So you have to temper your expectations with this Dallas game. And for purposes like that,
at least for the Lamb fans, for all the Lamb people who've gone Lamb and they have benefited from it. This one almost feels like it may get out of hand a little early, so then the production may not be as what it was these last couple of weeks with 10 plus receptions. So I would say be mindful of
wide receiver though.
I wouldn't be surprised if Giants cover this spread, just because, like you said, Dallas could go up hella early and just sit Dak, sit Pollard, put in some other people, and then Giants score. What do they call it? A touchdown at the end of the game that's just not supposed to happen, but it garbage time touchdown. Yeah, and covers the spread. Maybe they're losing by 24. or 23 points and they score a touchdown, they go for 2 and just for no reason fuck the spread up and everybody's like, what the fuck? Yeah, I could see that happening. I could also see
I don't like the
Saquon having a
spread
pretty
here
good
because
game.
it's just division rivalries. I never like large spreads in divisional rivalry games. Because
Correct.
just like you said, Cody, they know each other too well. Sometimes they can, scheme it up just good enough to get a couple possessions here and there. And so, but I don't know how much faith I have in Tommy DeVito, though. So that's the only thing there. So
That's why Barkley could have
he
some extra
can't
love.
throw the ball at all. It seems like with him.
He's gonna throw it to Barkley the whole time. Him and fucking Bellinger. You gotta maybe look at them if you're gonna be focused on this.
I gotta see it with the Giants players before I believe it. I just don't trust. But of course, again, run your chalk and then keep it going.
All right, and the spread is 17. Like I said, dude, I'm not a sports betting guy, but I would have to go with the Giants here just because division rival and it's 17 points. That shit just doesn't make sense.
I think you need to if you have to get exposure. I'm just gonna throw some names out here. If you have to get exposure to this game tomorrow, get exposure to fucking guys like Jalen Tolbert. Saw that motherfucker out on the field a couple times last week. When they played
Hyatt, maybe he's gotten a couple deep.
Turpin got a touchdown, I think.
Turpin is questionable with a shoulder injury. That I would say I would have been high on Turpin had he not been questionable with a shoulder injury because the man does return kicks and he is a good wide receiver. But Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Hyatt, I guess maybe. I mean, I still like if you're trying to fetch a freaking I hate even saying names because it's disgusting. But if you're having to get a Giants player in, if for some reason you're a big Giants fan and you have to get one and you have an itch, you have to just scratch it with somebody like Wandale because Wandale is just a gimmicky type player. They might try to get him on a jet sweep. They might try to get him on an end around, something to get something going. But it
is a afternoon game.
It is America's game of the week, according to Fox.
And it is afternoon, which means the people that you expect to score are not going to score at all. It's going to be like Cody's saying. It's going to be your Turpin, your Schoonmakers. It's going to be some weird, dumb shit. And it may be the Giants covering this on some like Dak pick 6 off the rip type shit or a punt and they fumble it and they just pick it up and Giants defense is now in the nuts and you're like, what the fuck just happened? And
like Matt Breida. I mean, I just don't even
wants to make me throw up.
Yes, it just is terrible, and I feel like it's disgusting, and it just hurts to even talk about it because it's just an ugly game. And
who y'all taking by the spread?
Because of the spread, I don't like those spreads that far. I'll say the Giants to cover the spread, but of course, Cowboys winning it.
I think maybe that the Giants do kind of kick the tires a little bit, just because it's America's game of the week.
Yeah,
and I think that because Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson have to call this, to be like, can we not just make this a snooze fest? They got to make a call down to some refs and
entertainment, baby.
We get a few calls Giants way. I think even what's his name? Who's the defensive coordinator for the Giants? Brad.
What's his name? Martindale.
Martindale. I think maybe Thibodeau might get to Dak, and Dak pulls some dumbass Dak shit and throws a duck or two or a fumble down in the red zone, and Tommy DeVito triumphantly comes out as a fucking dump off touchdown. I see this covering. I see this script being
4 yards. The quarterback scramble for a touchdown.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Tommy DeVito.
I'm really not touching this game if I don't have to, but I do like the Giants to cover and Dallas to win going away. So
final game, boys. Washington Redskins / Commandos against and at Seattle Seahawks. It is one of the other games I'm looking at for DFS purposes.
Curtis Samuel is still questionable with a toe injury, according to NFL.com at the moment.
Any other injuries?
Give me Jahan Dotson.
Nothing of note for Seahawks. Nothing.
I like this game for fantasy value. It's an afternoon game.
I love Tyler Lockett tomorrow. That's my I love person tomorrow, Tyler Lockett.
Well, that Chargers game is an afternoon game, so
Yes.
it gets you a little different from that game. If people are doing an afternoon only slate, even though the main slate they're not highly owned, the afternoon only slate, those players in that Chargers game are going to be high owned. You can get some hella different on the Redskins Seattle game. I like Lockett, like Cody was talking about. I don't think he's high owned at all. I like McLaurin. Where is Tyler Lockett is up there, but he's like 10th down. So is McLaurin. 11% ownership.
As you were saying earlier, Cody, about there being a stardom between Sam and Goff, and I could understand why you have that question because technically Sam's been playing pretty strong. The team definitely is going the wrong direction, but from a fantasy perspective, he has been putting up quality numbers, even against tough defenses. We've seen him do it twice against Philly's defense.
Correct.
I mean, if you want to get different,
where I went with my
that Seahawks defense is solid.
With my thoughts on that is, again, this is an afternoon game, right? This is a East Coast team traveling to Washington in the afternoon, okay? To them, on their bodies, you know this just as well as the rest of us. You travel to a time zone, it's fucking noon basically over there, and it's 4 o'clock at home. 4 o'clock at home, right? 4 o'clock or 4, what is it? 4:25, and it's 12:25 in Washington, which Seattle's basically might as well be in its own damn time zone. It's so far away, right? Your body doesn't feel the same. Your body doesn't play the same. You're playing in a little bit of a probably, I imagine, maybe it's probably raining there. I don't really know what the weather.
Suicide state because of all the rain, dude. It rains
I'm
so
just
much.
saying, like, I'm actually gonna check and see what the weather is.
Seattle's favored by 6 in this game, so they're not cutting the Skins any love, probably because that 12th man out there in the
51 degrees and raining in Seattle tomorrow. I like Tyler Lockett. I like Kenny Walker.
Now I don't like this game so much, but
I don't like
still
the
like
game
Seattle
with rain
players
involved because it gets so ugly and it could go any which way.
But something that's tripping me out right now.
I like Gibson though as well. He's been catching the ball well out of the backfield, the running back for the Redskins.
There is no DK
watch
Metcalf
Gibson tomorrow because they're probably going to be behind.
There is no DK Metcalf love. 5.29%.
But what did he do like last couple of weeks though? I will have to double check his numbers. I don't think the
16% last week, 32% to Lockett. That's why
he's been dealing with, I think, a ribs injury.
Najigba had a 28% target share.
Jackson Smith and Jig was kind of showing up the last couple of weeks as well.
Yeah, it's 28%. So he's probably been fucking with some injury, and that's why
this might be one of those get do games. You do for get right, get do game. This could be one of those.
JSN is 7% owned, and DK is 5.29% owned.
You got to target Seattle through the air, not on the ground, which I would have liked the Redskins players if it was better weather. It's going to be tough. But you got to target Washington through the air as well, which makes me love Lockett. Or any of those receivers. It's an afternoon game, right? So if all the ownership is on Lockett, you definitely got to go to Metcalf, and you definitely got to go to –
I think tomorrow how you get off of the afternoon, like if you're running afternoon only, just for instance, if you're running afternoon only at the tight end, how you get off of the Sam Laporta and Jake Ferguson chalk in the afternoon, which it could be blew up in my face. This could be totally different tomorrow. But the way I'm looking at it right now, the chalk is Sam Laporta, Logan Thomas. I think Logan Thomas is a way to get off of him tomorrow. I mean, Jake Ferguson Jake Ferguson is chalk and this is main slate, but Jake Ferguson and Sam Laporta are the third and fourth for main slate to get off that chalk. If it's the same number wise tomorrow for afternoon slate, and Donald Parham is chalk in the afternoon, I think
loves to come alive in those 425 games. Am I wrong? It feels like, or the primetime games.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, Logan want to be seen when it's like 425. He don't wake up for the 1 o'clock games. He be ready for the 425.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that call a lot.
I just feel like he's at the tight end spot to get off the chalk, and then maybe get a little different there. I mean, of course, he's going to be chalk in the afternoon. He's going to be, because he's going to be the third tight end, right? Maybe fourth. But I still feel like even at that point, he's down there in the ownership right now of the Dalton Schultz, George Kittle, George Kittle, Dalton Schultz, Mark Andrews, 4% range. So I could see that it could be a Logan Thomas type dump off and watch him run tomorrow. Like you just said, Tony G, if you're trying to get off of the
if you're trying to get a little different tomorrow, again, I was looking at Gibson, and again, he's starting to have a little bit more production more recently, and definitely getting some catches out the backfield. And again, that's what I always like to look at for running back. So if you want to kind of look outside of that, maybe then take that from a daily, maybe take a chance on him, then put a little bit more money in on the chalk player when you build up that lineup. So again, if you didn't want to spend so much in the running back category, him maybe out there could potentially be a good pick. And also, who is it? Charbonnet. With a wet game like this, and it could potentially kind of get away. Watch out for Zach Charbonnet, the backup running back for Seattle tomorrow. A little bit like a beast mode style power running back in these wet style games. You know, potentially they might go to him to try to get that carry.
Kenneth Walker is 8.69% owned, and then Charbonnet's down here at 2%.
So if you want to get a little different tomorrow,
I mean, I have seen him take totes. I mean,
I'm gonna go with Seattle on this spread too at -6 at home. That 12 man is something fierce.
I like Seattle as well.
6 points going straight up. Yeah, I like that. I like the by 1 touchdown. I think this, if it's not a runaway, I think this comes down to Geno Smith takes a good drive down the field and dumps one deep to lock it for the TD, or Kenny Walker takes one in for 6, and it's ball game. That's all she wrote.
All she wrote, baby.
And then tomorrow night's game, I know we don't ever touch it. I don't even give a shit about it. Like, it's disgusting, and it's another one of those disgusting games, which is the
Raiders win by a lot.
I think Antonio Pierce has got him on. I think Aiden O'Connell comes along and just dinking.
Shout out to Antonio Pierce, man. I remember him back in the Giants, those old school run stopping linebackers. The game kind of got away from him, but I'm happy he's coaching, man, and continue to do it.
I love that. I love how fucking Josh McDaniels.
I feel like he embodies like Antonio Pierce kind of embodies like that old school Vegas, or what was Oakland at the time, but like the no bull BS, no like hard nose, gonna punch you in the mouth. That's their identity. If he can establish that there, that'd be awesome.
I just think he's the type of football that us three grew up on, right? Like the three of us grew up on that type of football, like those kind of bashing running back. I mean, linebackers like the Ray Lewis's types that everybody wanted to be Ray Lewis, and everybody. And then when Antonio Pierce won a Super Bowl with the Giants, everybody's like, "Holy shit, he's a good linebacker. I want to be kind of like Antonio Pierce." So, I think the Raiders win. I just feel like that it's just a waste. The NFL need to start learning how to flex games again. This shit should not be on prime time. We shouldn't be watching this. We should be watching.
Looking at markets, man. It's just about the.
Bro, we should be watching. Man. We should be watching Detroit and
about who's the best team.
We should be watching Detroit and the Chargers tomorrow. I think probably, or even. I mean, I wouldn't be hurting to see the Jags and San Francisco in prime time and
That's
the
what
like.
they were talking in Jacksonville about the potential for that, but you have to notify like 2 weeks in advance or something like that to flex a game. So they were like, there's no way that they were going to do that and take off the market. What was it, the Raiders and the Jets? I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Disgusting.
they weren't going to take out that New York market in the prime time.
Yuck. Well,
All right, fellas.
All right.
Any more
That's
questions?
a good one.
Everybody.
Food waiting on me, so I'm gonna go eat. Good luck, everybody. Best of luck. Focus that Chargers game, boy. That's where
Get that money, fellas. If y'all win something, let us know.
We want to know.
Give us a little love for giving some advice.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Peace out.
Adios.